Now we would be moving forward to the second phase of the lightning talks. We'll be inviting Amos, who is going to give a presentation on the topic, the data gap in African agriculture.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Amos Mwendwa. And for those who don't know how to really pronounce Mwendwa, it means the loved one. So in case we find each other just along the roads, just say Amos, the loved one. All right? Thank you. So I lead Miraki Digital Solutions, which is an umbrella, a company that covers innovation and also the digital aspect. And we have a startup called agro.io, which I happen also to be co-leading. And as of today, the topic is the data gap in African agriculture and why global AI models fail the arid and semi-arid land farmers. So one, the background, history. In Africa, you find that we happen to be domiciling like 60% of the world's uncultivated arable lands, and which just contributes only 10% of the global agricultural output. And agriculture, especially in the arid and semi-arid lands, and I know for some of you will be like, why am I really focusing on the arid lands? Because that is where I come from. And most of my research is based on the arid and semi-arid lands. So you find that the yields are rather low, and also the climate risks are intensifying with time. All right. And so in Kenya, you find that the arid and semi-arid lands, they only cover 80%, which is also 30% of the population. And the characteristics, you find that these places are characterized by low rainfall, high temperature, and also particularly vulnerable to also drought and flooding. And so this is me. I am not just doing or talking things that I haven't done. I'm saying it out of experience. I recently started farming, doing farming on green grams. Back in Kenya, we call them dengu. And I started farming in Kitui County, but I didn't know what I was really getting myself into. And so I realized that around over 6,000 farmers who happen to be doing the same farming, they experience so many challenges, especially the climate, the resource limitation as well, and also market and uncertainty, as like we don't know how the market works. For example, I tried asking them how much was ndengu sold, how much was green grams sold last year. We didn't have any data. And I also at the same time, you find that Kitui is quite far, so I couldn't even track most of my farm activities remotely. And that was a very big challenge because I used to get numerous calls on, you can imagine when we are supposed to be having fertilizers being applied on our land, you just get random calls and someone tells you, so today we have decided we want to apply fertilizer. So in my mind, I was like, what are some of the elements that you considered for the crop to be applied fertilizer? And so I realized that I had to really be reliant on people, and that made the whole system inefficient and also risky. And so I got to also start a startup called agro.io, whereby we focus more on the agricultural side. And I also happen to be having, I think, my colleague, who is just seated somewhere, called Caesar Waweru. Thank you so much. But now, the main features that agro.io tackles is we are using AI-powered decision support, pest identification, using image recognition, also crop health and analysis tools, and integration of an e-commerce marketplace, especially for those who are selling their produce, and also for their certified seeds. But now, I might be giving you a very good story of how we are even having the prototype. We have a challenge. The challenge is data. And this is where the topic stems. And so, what are some of the problems that I have been able to experience as well? Thank you. So, we've realized, even as per the workshop, when we were having like our meetings, we realized there's the issue of data scarcity, context mismatch, also language. You find most of our farmers are in the rural places, so most of our models are much more into English. But I appreciate, I'm seeing some of the people who are developing AI models that are focusing on the local languages, like the Swahili. We also realize that there's the issue of bias in climate models. Some of the stations that we have, especially in our local areas, they don't have enough data for us to really analyze. And we have also infrastructure gaps. Definitely, when you want to use AI, you need to use internet. And you find that most of our regions are not internet connected, and that makes the environment quite tricky for us to include the technological aspect as well. But I also got to know, or rather dig deep into what the impact of the data gap could really influence. And you find that there's an inaccuracy of advisory services, and also misallocation of resources as well, digital exclusion, and eventually you'll find that people are going through losses. I had a friend who recently did farming, about 10 acres. So in 10 acres, when you're doing wheat in Narok, the South Rift region of Kenya, you get around 100 bags. But last year, but 2, there was so much rain to a point whereby in those 10 acres, the guy only got half a bag. So that means that the challenge is quite increasing, because most of the people are really experiencing losses, especially in the agricultural sector. And you realize that without food, we cannot live. All right? And together with agro.io, I thought about it. So, in as much as, yes, we're experiencing these challenges, what are some of the probable solutions that we need to really come up with, or rather call of actions? So first of all, we need to also start building local data sets. I had an opportunity of interacting with the North African side. There was a meeting that we had, and I realized that for them, they had very nice open data source. In Africa, I believe if some of you are coming from Africa, that's a very big challenge. And we also need to include AI models that really do the African type of crops. Like, for example, you find that most of these AI models, they do analysis from maybe wheat in Kansas. It's not the same wheat that we plant here in Kenya. And the other thing is that we need to also have like the public-private partnerships. So I'm also calling upon each and every one of you that we need to also partner to ensure that the agricultural data is cohesive. Thank you. And the other thing is that we need to also have the technological side being farmer-centered, meaning that we need to make them into our local languages. And so that's a quote that I got from someone whom I respect, and he says that if you want to make impact, make your home first, your neighbor is your second, and finally the whole world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful talk and presentation.